Good morning. It's me, Dashima. It's Sunday morning. And every Sunday, we get on here live, come together as a community, and meditate to manifest whatever it is that you're calling into your life. So I am so excited for today's session, and I hope you are too. There's a unique energy happening on the planet, and you may have noticed this already, but if not, we'll talk about it for a moment. And feel free to leave a comment, let us know where you're coming from. And as we move through this meditation, we really want to start to think about what it is in your life that you are ready to let go of. Because in order to call something new in, a lot of times it's necessary to create space by letting go of something old, right? That's kind of like the law of the universe, right? If your cup is full, can it hold any more, right? And even if the cup is full of like a lot of stuff that isn't really what you really want, then obviously that's the key, is letting go of those things. Before we get started, I just want to say that we always do these sessions live here on YouTube every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I've loved doing this. And we're going to reorganize the way that we do it, because we were actually doing it on Facebook Live as well. So I want to encourage everybody to join the Facebook group if you're not already a member. We have a Facebook group. It's called Flow State. It's called Flow State Community. And let me get the actual link for you. And then I'm going to post that in the chat, because we will go over there and finish our live stream there today. A lot of people in the group, and I sometimes go live in there and I sometimes go live on here, but depending. So I'm going to put the link here in the chat comments. So be sure and join our group. And I'm going to start doing the live streams over there more often, because it's a really nice forum of interactivity. And it's also a nice opportunity where you can post questions afterwards and interact with the community in a different type of way, because it's a group. So that's the Facebook group for Flow State. And one of the reasons that I created that group, by the way, is and I want you to take advantage of this, because it's free for now, and you just have to join and let us know that you're, like qualified or whatever. And to be qualified, the only thing you really have to do is have an interest in yoga, or be a yoga teacher, or aspire to become a yoga teacher or health coach. So really, like, the group is intended for people that are all in the same kind of like mission of life or place in life and type of energy, right? What is flow state? Let's talk about that for a moment. One thing that I've learned over the course of 18 years teaching this is that no matter what's going on in your life, let's say you're going through a very difficult season, or you could be going through a very good season. Like, right, everything in life has this kind of like waves, ups and downs. And sometimes the season is like celebration, everything's working out. And then sometimes the season is, you're going into the trenches of the shadow, and you're really having to look at like the darkest, more difficult traumas or belief systems, programs, things from the past, things from even your ancestry, things from your childhood, your family, right? So if you're in that season, which I think a lot of people on the planet are in that type of season, because we're in a very unique time period on Earth where, like, there's been more solar flares in the universe in the last 2 years than in the past 10 years combined. What does that mean? There's a lot of intense energy in the universe, on the planet as well. And the people are feeling it. Leave a comment if you've been feeling it. So if you're feeling it, the interesting thing is, like, what do you do with this energy, right? So if it becomes like this intensity that you're like, okay, like all these things are happening in my life or in my family, or, in my health, maybe in your career, like different areas of life, could be relationships, come up for review. We call it review because it's like, it's in your face and it's like, you need to look at this, right? And then when you're looking at it, you're like, okay, what would be the best case scenario in this? Like, if it's not there, right? What would be the way that it would be like the ideal, right? And then what is it actually, the reality of it? And then like there's this bridge, there's like a gap between those two things perhaps. And then how do I get from where it is to the ideal, right? And that's a process of what I call like upgrading, or like could be also considered like transformation, right? Alchemizing. So you alchemize the old energy into the new. The word alchemy is so cool because it actually like was a very ancient word where they used to take, for example, metal, and then they would put it in the fire and then it would become gold. So that's alchemy, where you take something and then through the process of fire or some other element, that you can transform it into something completely different. And the really nice thing about alchemy is if you do it right, you can transform something from lower value, right, into a higher value. So that's really what we're talking about when we talk about manifesting. It's taking something from like a lower frequency or whatever it was that you didn't feel was serving you into the higher, right, into the more ideal. And so in order to do that, first you have to look at it, see what's the situation, be like truth, honest, like about it, look at all the reasons why perhaps that it is that way, right? And take responsibility for those things that are like in your control, and then looking at the things that are also out of your control, right? And then learning to not be attached to any of it, but realizing that there is an element of personal responsibility, like taking action, setting intention, that can create that alchemical experience where it will transform into something better. It can transform into what you really desire with just some conscious, focused energy, action, intention. And that's what manifesting is really all about. Like, I think a lot of people, it sounds like this like invisible thing, like you just manifested this thing and you snapped the fingers and it just came. But that's actually not how it works. You know, it starts with the intention, the thought, like this is what I want. And then like reorganizing the energy in your life and the universe so that you can be a match for that thing to come into your life, right? So whenever I've manifested anything really huge, it was always that, the knowing that there needed to be a vibrational match inside for the thing to physically appear before me, right? So in order to call it in, whatever it is, that's that alchemy, the alchemy which is inside, right? The transformation of the old self to the new self. That's the alchemy that's going to bring your new thing into your life. Like, so, and then the other part is, like I was saying, is creating space. So creating space is super important. It's like, okay, let's say you want a new job, but you have a job already and it takes like all of your time, let's say. So like, it's very difficult to be like, I want a different thing, but like, I still have this thing. So in your mind, you have to start really envisioning this new job or this new energy, or like, what did that feel like? What is that going to look like? What is it? You know, all the elements of it in your energy and like in your life and how it fits into your life. And like also starting to feel the energy of no longer being in the one that you have, right? Because if you're in the comfort zone of whatever you have, then it's very like difficult to have something different, right? Because it's like taking up all the bandwidth of your life. So that's why the meditations are so powerful, because if you focus on meditation, what you're going to do is feel and be able to go into the vision and the feeling of the new thing. And then going into the vision and the feeling of the new thing with gratitude, with a sense of, I'm so grateful that it happened, like that it already happened. And that feeling of it's already done. And I feel like that's really important. And sometimes we can be on a journey of manifesting something. And then what happens is you're like, you know, you feel delusional because you're like, it's already done. And then you're like feeling it, but it's not in front of you. So if that's the case, I really believe, and like everybody that I've ever talked to about this, kind of a consensus that if it didn't come yet, number one, it means you're not ready on some level. So that's when you go back in and start working with like the aspect of your consciousness that's not ready. So what does it mean to be not ready? Let's say you're not ready because you don't feel worthy of it. Or let's say you're not ready because you don't feel it's even possible. For example, like there's maybe like a subconscious program internally inside of the consciousness that you don't even know about, or maybe you're going to know about it now after this, but that it's saying, I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve that, or who am I for that to happen in my life, right? And like sometimes it could be because in the past you didn't have it. So like what makes, you have to like move into a energy of belief that even if it didn't happen in the past, I can still have this whatever thing, this reality, this family, this home, this career, this romantic relationship or friend circle or whatever it is that you want, right? So really moving into that sort of like deep knowing, not a belief, but a knowing. And this is one of the things I think over the course of my life that has been the most important, which is the difference between belief and knowing, first of all. And then the other thing, the feeling of trust. So we'll talk about both of those. Number one, the difference between belief and knowing. So belief is a construct where it's like, okay, because of this and this, it's almost like a mathematical equation, right? It's science. It's like, I believe this because of these things, right? What are your beliefs based on, right? So it's like usually based on something outside of us or something that we've heard before, like other information, right? So like that's where we get our beliefs. And that's why beliefs change so often, because we just like can get new information and then we get a new belief. And it's like beliefs are just very transient. You can't really hold on to beliefs and you can't really base your life around beliefs because they're always changing. You can think about this in your own life. Like, where in your life did you used to believe something and then now you believe something different, right? I think about that with like a lot of things in life. For example, when I used to drink a lot and I used to believe that drinking a lot and then working out was like a balanced life, because I was like, well, I'm a balanced person. I drink a lot, but I work out a lot, and therefore, I'm balanced. But now when I look at that, I'm like, that's not balance. Like that was balance for that moment, for that time period. I felt that made sense to me at that time. But now I don't drink. And I actually stopped drinking when I was 21, which is funny because most people start drinking at 21 in the US, but I stopped at that age. But it's funny to think back on that because that was a belief that I had. And then later, as I got more intelligent and like understood what real health was about, I realized that you didn't have to participate in toxic behavior in order to have balance. So like my belief changed. So that's belief, right? And then there's a lot of beliefs that cause conflict and war, like religion is a big, strong one. People believe like my God is better than your God or my God whatever, and then like that's my land. So these are beliefs like my land, I'm going to kill you over it. That's what's happening in the Ukraine right now with Russia. So there's all these beliefs and a lot of times they're very toxic. So and then we have on the other side is called knowing. So knowing is a totally different thing. So knowing is a deep sense and it's a feeling and it's inside and it's not based on anything that you've heard or been told or any other thing. It's a feeling and it's undeniable. So when you have the feeling of knowing, what you really do is like it negates every other thing. So for example, sorry, I wanted to clean them. When you have a knowing, it's a guidance system from your higher self. So that's one thing that I've learned is that this sense of knowing comes from, sorry, I had to clean the lid. The sense of knowing that comes from your higher self, and that knowing, it's like you don't need any proof because it's a knowing. And you get this experience when you are really connected to your higher self. Right? So when you're deeply connected to your higher self, then you have this sense of knowing. So you can have this about a number of things. Hi, beautiful people. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. Also, I put the chat link here in the chat for you to join the Facebook group. So we're going to start doing these sessions in the Facebook group starting next week. Let's see, Damien says, when are you going back to Fresh and Fit? Hey, nice to hear from you. Yeah, that's a good question. If you guys want, message them. And, the only thing is they're based in Miami. So I was on the Fresh and Fit podcast last year. And it was a really interesting thing, actually. It was actually a good point, like for this conversation that we're having right now, because I went on there and their whole conversation they love to have is about like relationships, right? And they had 5 women, I was one of them, on the podcast, all talking about relationships. And there was 2 women on the podcast that got really drunk and got kicked off. 2 other girls, they were all like in their 20s, so they're super young, but they were trying to say they felt that putting a lot of sexy naked content on social media was okay, and that would still make them a classy woman, and that it wouldn't prevent them from getting a good relationship. And Fresh and Fit, their opinion was, actually, men don't want to see that. It makes them not feel like they can trust you. And so there was this conversation around like relationship dynamics. And I really actually believe more with Fresh and Fit, because I was like, actually, they're right. I think women that put a lot of like nudity and sexual content on social media, they may get a lot of likes or like a lot of attention, but I don't know if it actually can lead to what they're really seeking. So you always want to think of your intention, like, what am I actually seeking with this action or this behavior? And if it's being fulfilled by the action and the behavior, and if it's not, then the key is change the action and the behavior, right? So it's kind of like rocket science. But anyway, so yeah, Damien, maybe I'll go back on there eventually. They were super nice, and I found that an enjoyable podcast. They were super interesting. But anyway, back to what I'm saying. So if you have this sense of knowing, like deep inside of you about anything, right? It's like, I just know that's what's my destiny, or I know this is what my dharma is. This is my purpose of life. I know that I'm meant to have like whatever, or I'm meant to live in this place. You can get this guidance. So one of the things that I learned when I was in India was I was actually with these young girls, people, and they actually had done this program called the Intuition Course. Intuition Course, they teach children between 6 to 14 years old, and it teaches them how to tap into their intuitive knowing. And that guidance system is the most valuable resource you can ever cultivate. It's literally like the best and most important that you can get, because what it does is it gives you exactly what you need to do, and where to go, who to connect with, and then you take action. And I was asking these kids, because they'd been doing this course for 6 years, and they said, I said, do you ever get the message that you should do something and then you don't do it? Like you procrastinate or you just ignore that knowing? And she said, never. She said, never. And it was because basically that when you get this feeling of knowing, your soul is like, do it. And it literally like pushes you to do it, not in a sort of like aggressive way, but in a way that's very loving, and just feels like this is the right thing to do. This is what I'm going to do now. And then that's like that nice guidance towards the next step that's leading you towards your dream life, or like the destiny that you're here to live, or like the manifestation that you're calling in. So this is a process, but the first step is always tapping into that knowing. So the way that we can do that is through meditation. So that's why the title of this video is Manifestation Meditation, because the key to actually tapping into your knowing, that intrinsic guidance system, is to be able to listen and to hear it, right? So if you're listening to yourself, your higher self, and you're asking the right question, this is the other part of it, asking the right questions of your higher self. So let's leave in the comments and let me know, what question do you have for your higher self right now? If you could ask any question and get a direct, honest truth of knowing, what would you ask your higher self, right? So this is the way that I like to do it. So when I ask my higher self, I'm like, you can keep it general, right? A good question is the key to a good answer. So the general would be like, what is the next best step for my highest and best life, right? That's very general. And then you can ask. It usually works the best if it's a yes, no question. So if you're trying to decide something, the best way to do it is say, is this the best choice? And be specific. So like, let's say, am I supposed to move to California? Is that in alignment with the highest and best? next step for my life, right? That's what I was asking myself. That's why I moved to California. I left Miami a couple of weeks ago and I'm over here in California now. And the reason that I did that is because there was a guidance inside of me that felt, yes, this is the next step. Let's see, it's bliss. What direction do I take my business? I have so many different directions I can go. Okay, so that's a good question. Now you want to reform the question and make it into a yes, no. So instead of what direction, I would come up with a few directions that are good options for you and then ask it in a yes, no. So one at a time. So you could say, let's say one of the ones is I want to open a yoga retreat center, right? Is it in the highest and best alignment for my soul's evolution of abundance and contribution to open a yoga retreat center and spa? And then so this is a yes no question, right? I said, is it? And so you just get quiet. And here's how to know if it's a yes or no. Because you're not necessarily going to hear the word yes or no. What you're going to do is feel it, right? The feeling is the knowing. So the feeling is, if it's a yes, it's very expansive in the heart, and the expansiveness travels up to your mind. So it's like this opening and joyous, blissful energy. And if it's a no, it feels heavy and constricted. So that's the no energy. And then the middle, which is like neutral, meaning it's not necessarily an absolute fuck yes, but it's not like a no. It just, can't really feel anything. So that's where you keep asking questions, right? So the next question might be, let's just give an example. Let's see, she says, I got a huge yes to that. When I want is what I want, but not sure about the timing. So there you go. So you got the yes. So you ask the question, you got the yes. Then you don't know the timing. So you ask another question, right? Keep asking. You can do this indefinitely. Like you could do this for an hour a day. Just keep going down this journey of asking the next question. So if you're not sure about the timing, the next question you need to ask is about the timing. Is the timing to get started immediately, or is there something else that I need to do first, right? So ask that question and then listen, and then you're going to see. So make sure it's a yes, no. So that's why I said, is the timing to get started immediately? So that's the first question. You don't want to put too much in there because it gets complicated. Then is it yes? Is it no? Because you want to just ask, is the timing now? And then the next question, you could bring something like, if it was no, if the timing's not now, the next question could be something like, okay, so is the timing next week? Is it in a year? Like keep asking until you get the deep clarity on the knowing of the timing, if that's your next question. Let's see, it says, this is Lori from school. Ah, nice to see you, Lori. Yeah, good. Keep asking the question. Let's see. And then Rain had said, I'm here at Anaheim. I want to go to Disneyland with you. Wow, that would be fun. I've been to Disneyland and I like it. It's fun. So I would definitely go to Disneyland. Not today, but sometime. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. Anybody else have any questions about this process? So this is what I'm calling a manifestation meditation. We can call it a meditation. The meditation is really in the form of clarity and this questions that are going to lead you to your yes or your, to the path of action and intention. That's what you need more than just sitting here, quiet your mind. Although sitting and quieting the mind is always good too. So do that kind of meditation, but that's not what we're talking about in this video. This video, we're talking about how to manifest your dreams and goals by asking the right questions and feeling the intuitive feelings of knowing, and that internal guidance system is a muscle that you can strengthen as you practice, right? So practice is like asking questions more often and then literally getting quiet inside to hear your soul's guidance, which is coming in the form of a feeling. So it's not generally going to be like a whole paragraph like Chat GPT where it tells you the answer. It's a feeling and a knowing. And that's how you really trust that you're going in the right direction. And even if, so sometimes you could have this guidance and go in a direction, and then let's say it doesn't end up the way you thought. Keep asking every day. Don't just do this once and expect, oh, I did that. Do it every day. Always keep asking, because think about it like this. Let's say you're sailing on the open ocean in your ship, and you're sailing, you're trying to go from like America to Europe or something. And then, you need to keep looking at the map the whole way, right? Instead of trying to be like, just, oh, I looked at the map the first day and then I hoped I got there. No, like keep asking every day, because that's how you're going to make little micro adjustments, right? So it's like, what's the best next step for my life? And you can ask that kind of general question too, that like, what's the best next step for my life type of question. But one thing that I notice is if you ask the yes, no, it gives you a much more accurate feeling. Whereas if you're asking an open-ended question that requires like real download of thoughts, then you might want to combine that with another way to do it, which is asking for a sign. So for example, if you're like, okay, dear God, I need a sign. I would like a miracle today to show me the best next step for my life. Because if you don't even have enough information yet to know to ask what yes, no question, you might need a different approach. So this is another way of doing it, which is instead of the yes, no question, you pray and you say, okay, please God, send me a sign, or you could call it God, your higher self. Those are kind of interchangeable in a way. But basically, you're asking for a sign that you're on the right path, or a sign or a miracle to show you what is the next best step for your life, right? If you don't have the clarity to even know what question to ask, that's another approach. Prayer and meditation go hand in hand. They're super important. They both work. And I think they're like best friends, right? Prayer and meditation. So prayer is the process where you talk to God, right? And you ask your higher self, please show me a sign. And then the meditation is the listening. So this meditation that I just described, where you're asking your higher self these questions and then listening through the form of feeling, is this interaction with your higher self, this interaction with the universe, this interaction with your guidance. And I really feel this is one of the key elements of flow state. There's so many times where I just literally, the universe will bring you into an experience where you have to just completely let go of everything that you thought was supposed to happen in your life and just surrender completely, which is one of the main precepts of flow. It's like you can't be too attached to anything. You have to just allow. And the energy of flow is a really feminine energy. It's allowing. It's like I trust completely in the universe, in my higher self, in God, that even if I don't know what's the next step, I trust that the next step will be revealed to me. And it's going to be revealed through this process of asking. Does anybody have any questions? Let's see. Lori said, timing feels like a maybe, but then I have a job offer for teaching already established classes, but I'm not sure I align with the studio. It's experience. It pays $40 a class. Feeling yes and no. Okay. So what's nice about questions that you ask that you get a yes, no? It comes down to no decision is ever permanent. So if you make a yes, if you say, okay, I don't know if it's yes or no, and then you say, okay, I could go either way, then try it if you want, and then see, and you're never stuck. So go into it with the knowing that nothing's permanent, and you can choose to not stay there forever. You could choose to not even stay there for more than a month. You could even go in with the intention saying, I'm going to give this a try for a month, and not feel like, oh, this is my new forever thing. Like if you go into anything feeling like, oh, it's got to be forever, or it's just, what's the point? Then you're putting a lot of constraints on the universe, right? It's like, maybe that's one little step that's going to lead you to the next step, that's going to lead you to the next step, that's going to lead you to the big thing that you're calling in. So if that's the thing, maybe then you do it. let's see, she said, my sign is showing up here to have this conversation. Good. And then she said, I feel a no. Okay, so there you go. So you're getting the guidance because you're asking the right questions. And then you keep asking, and then keep asking and asking and asking. The better you get at asking questions, the better guidance you're going to get. Like if your questions are not really good enough to like lead you to the right thing, you got to like get better and better at questions. And you can do that through journaling, right? Journaling, you give yourself some like prompts, right? So like if you're journaling and you're thinking like, okay, what do I really want? Ask yourself that. What do I really want? And then like whatever comes through, write it down. So that's another way of doing this type of interaction. But the one that I'm talking about is where you're talking to your higher self and you're just getting intimately connected to the response mechanism that you can experience through the sensations in your body, through feeling your way to your destiny. Feeling your way to your destiny instead of like, like pushing your way there or like trying to do all these things. So in the like masculine, feminine energy, the masculine energy is this like forcing or doing, and the feminine energy is like allowing, right? And just surrender and trust. So there's like the difference between masculine and feminine, and both of them are good. Like you need to do things sometimes in order for things to happen, but in the feminine energy you're not forcing anything and you're really in a field of trust and allowing, right? And just surrender. So I find that I have the best feeling when I'm in surrender, like when I'm just like, I know that whatever is meant for me, that God has my back, the universe has my back, and that whatever is meant for me is going to unfold for me in my life in the highest and best way, for the benefit of all. Because I know that my life is always of service to humanity, it's always to be a contributor. So I trust in the divine guidance that is going to lead me to the highest and best. And that I trust that if I'm in a situation right now that's less than ideal, that first of all, this too shall pass, but also that it's teaching me something, and I can trust that because I know that the universe will never give me more than I can handle, and that if I'm being dealt a very hard hand of cards right now, that it's because I'm being strengthened to grow and that I'm being cultivated to level up, right? And so in order to grow or level up, get to your next level or transform your life, create a whole new reality for yourself, you have to go through a deep experience of discomfort as you're shedding the old layers and creating a new reality. So in that sense, I love feelings of discomfort. In fact, I put myself into experiences of discomfort all the time just so that I can grow. And some people think that the purpose of happiness is life, or the purpose of life is happiness. But actually, I feel the actual purpose of life is growth. We come here to grow. And, along that journey, this like energy of happiness is really like the intention, right? We want to feel good while we grow. But even if it's difficult and you're going through the dark night, so that's not happiness, right? But that part of it is an integral step on the journey, right? And then you want to get to the point where you don't hit rock bottom anymore. But in order to really grow to the highest heights, they say that you can only grow as tall as you've gone deep, right? It's like roots of a tree. The tree can only be as strong and rise as high and be as stable as the roots can hold and stabilize it to be, right? So in that sense, you're like a tree. So you can only grow to the level that you are capable with the depth that you've been to. So in order to get to the heights, you have to go to the depth. In order to get to the depth, sometimes it's like you have to go through the pain. You have to go through the darkness. You have to see your shadow. You have to look at the parts of the mind that has limiting beliefs, old programs, traumas from your past, from the childhood, from the ancestry. You look at all of that. This is what I teach at the Flow State Institute, for those of you who are a part of it. In our teacher training, this is a part of it. It's like really looking at all of this. And then also like doing a lot of like practices that help to clear and release all of that, so that by the end of the journey, you know, you've looked at your whole consciousness, you're very clear and aware of who you are, where you've been through, why you had to go through those things, but also letting it go by healing it, holding it with a space of love and gratitude, and then leveling up, you know. And the next level is like, okay, that's not who I am anymore. Who am I now? And then who am I now is totally new, higher frequency, more knowledgeable, more awakened, more enlightened version of this self, and going into this world with the wisdom that I gained from all of that difficulty. Let's see. Lori says 1 month would be good. People will get to know me in town. Exactly. Jean says, I am a Christmas tree. Kumarji says, nice to see you, Angel. Nice to see you too. So good to see you all. I love you guys. This has been a wonderful time together, and I'm very happy that we got to come together on this Sunday morning. I love doing this, and it makes me feel a great joy when we get to do these sessions. So thank you all for joining, and I'm going to post a link for this replay in the Facebook group. So I put the link at the top here for anybody who isn't a member yet of the Facebook group. Then I'll just make sure that you have that. You can go join the group, and then I will see you there. And I'm going to post the replay here for anybody that maybe missed the first part or something. And let's see. And if you guys know anybody who would like to join the Flow State Yoga Teacher Training, you can earn 10% of commission for referrals. Just wanted to mention that. We've had a lot of beautiful affiliates over the years that, you know, it's a great way to earn extra income. You can earn up to actually 20% is $500 per referral. And we do, for the online program, we do 20% commission. So that's another way, Lori, like if you're looking to create an income, you know, that's another option for any of you who would like to create an income. If you know people that would like to take this type of journey, go deep into your yoga and meditation, your consciousness. And we also include in there the business training program, which I also encourage for you, Lori, to go deeper into the business training that's there. And then also the cleansing program. And one thing that I'll say about the total life cleanse that's included in this training is it's the #1 thing that has helped me through my life. Like whenever I feel stuck or confused, whenever I'm having a difficulty, I do a cleanse, and it literally totally shifts the energy, helps you to let go of any blocked energy that's not serving you, and allows like a new flow to enter, clarity, miracles, lots of things come on the other side of that. So I highly encourage, if you're part of the program, you can go do that. It's in the Flow State YTT. You can go to the flowstate.app. It's in our app as well. I'll put the link for the app here too, but the flowstate.app is the website. And then I'll also put that's in the community in the Facebook group. But also you can do just the cleanse. So you don't have to do the whole YTT to do the cleanse. But I highly encourage, if you've ever thought about doing something that could like rapidly shift you, it could happen literally like 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 10 days. It's a short period of time that just change your life, clear your toxins, get parasites coming out of you, like get rid of whatever is blocking the flow in your energy, so that you can welcome in and manifest the next level of your life. So go to the flowstate.app, download the app for free, and check it out. And then you can do the Total Life Cleanse. That's a program in there. Or you can do the full YTT. You can do self-love and yoga. That's a course that we have. And the 30-day yoga challenge is in there as well. But the full Flow State YTT will give you a certification. So then you could become a teacher. That'll create a new income source for you. And also they say, if you want to master something, learn to teach. That's why I'm so passionate about training teachers, because it also helps you to level up to your mastery, because then you're going to be working on this more deeply for yourself if you know you're going to be teaching it to others. I remember when I started teaching 18 years ago, I actually used to practice like 3 to 5 hours a day. And it's just because I loved it. Now I don't do, let's say, 3 to 5 hours a day, because I do more other things that I'm creating for the world is what I'm really focused on at this point. But it's definitely the way to take your practice deeper, is to learn to teach. Let's see, Lori says, I cleanse a lot, a big takeaway from the school, and also doing a Kundalini practice for 22 days. It always gets me back on track and I hit a new level. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's like the way to go. If you think about it, like you want to create habits, like she said, I always do that. It's a big takeaway, but she does these things. That's what I do too. Like you do these little challenges with yourself, and then it helps you to level up. The other thing you can do as a teacher is you start to take those challenges and then you share them with your community and you say, hey guys, I'm doing this challenge. This is what it does for me. Want to join me? And then charge them for that. And then you can, that's how you're creating your business. So those are all ways that you can level up your life, level up your community, and whatever you're doing. You know, when you bring your community along with you, it's always more enjoyable, more abundance for everybody. Everybody wins. So I highly encourage that. And the more good energy we have spreading around this planet, the better everyone will be. So this is a win-win intention of my life, that we bring joy and happiness, health and healing to the world. We can do that together with the Flow State community and also with the Bright Future Foundation. And I'm getting ready, actually, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be launching a new website for Bright Future Foundation. I'm so excited. And we have some really, really exciting things I'm going to be sharing with you. So stay tuned when I share more about that. Until then, have an amazing, beautiful, blessed day. So much love and gratitude for you. Big hugs for your family. And I'll see you again next week.